Hello, everyone. It's undeniable that the resistance war against America was a long and challenging chapter in our nation's history, with events that surpassed the imagination of later generations. That fierceness was pushed to its peak in one of the most brutal air battles, lasting for 12 days and nights that no Vietnamese person can ever forget. The Americans called this Operation Linebacker II, or Rolling Thunder, with super heavy, state-of-the-art weapons that were virtually unrivaled at the time, aiming to return Vietnam to the Stone Age. Meanwhile, the Vietnamese called it the Dien Bien Phu in the air, a classic confrontation of willpower, intellect, and creativity that even the Americans and many other nations around the world could not believe. Background leading to the historical confrontation. A series of strategic attacks by the People's Army of Vietnam in the South, culminating in the victory of Operation Lam San 719 and Route 9 southern Laos, put the United States government under immense pressure, forcing them to return to the negotiating table at the Paris Peace Accords. However, President Nixon's administration deliberately delayed, waiting until after the presidential election to take new military steps to regain an advantage at the negotiating table. President Nixon met with his security advisor and approved Operation Linebacker II. On the same day, he sent a message to the government of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam demanding a return to the negotiating table and acceptance of American conditions. Otherwise, the bombing would resume. Advisor Le Duc Tog gave a firm reply. "We have been fighting for 4-5 years now. Many bombs have fallen. Do not try to intimidate us with bombs." Faced with this firm stance, the Nixon administration officially launched Operation Rolling Thunder II, unleashing their trump card, the B-52 Superflying Fortress. They hoped that with Hanoi engulfed in flames, Vietnam would obediently sit down at the negotiating table and accept terms favorable to the United States. However, there was a truth they had not anticipated. With the brilliant foresight of President Ho Chi Minh, the Vietnamese Air Defense Forces had begun studying how to counter the B-52 10 years prior. Part 1. Comparison of Forces. An uneven showdown? On the United States side, Strategic Air Force, 197 B-52s, nearly half of the entire U.S. global B-52 fleet. Tactical Air Force, 1,077 modern tactical aircraft. Navy, 6 aircraft carriers along with numerous command ships, destroyers, cruisers, and other support vessels. The forces were organized into the 7th and 8th Air Forces and Special Task Forces ready to launch from bases in Thailand, Guam, and on aircraft carriers. On the Vietnamese side, Air Defense Force, consisting of 4 divisions with 19 missile regiments and 14 anti-aircraft artillery regiments. Air Force, 3 regiments equipped with MiG-21, MiG-19, and MiG-17 aircraft. Radar, early warning radar regiments served as the divine eyes for the entire campaign. Militia and self-defense forces, over 364 units with nearly 1,500 guns and cannons of various types, forming a dense low-altitude air defense network. Confrontational tactics, technology versus intellect. The Americans' plan, to use B-52s as the core for carpet bombing, destroying Hanoi, Haiphong, and other key targets. The B-52 Flying Fortress was a true giant, capable of carrying 30 tons of bombs, flying at an altitude of over 10 kilometers, beyond the reach of most anti-aircraft weapons of the time. They were escorted by a large squadron of fighter jets, tasked with wide-area electronic jamming to blind the enemy's radar systems. Furthermore, the U.S. equipped the B-52s with powerful electronic jamming devices and ADM-20 decoy missiles to create false targets. Perhaps the most lethal weapon was the Shrike anti-radiation missile, capable of hunting and destroying radar transmitting stations. Vietnam's preparation, this was the bridge connecting a passive situation to a glorious victory. Countering jamming. The Air Defense Forces successfully researched and assembled a new set of equipment codenamed KX, an improvement on the K-860 radar capable of accurately tracking B-52 targets despite heavy jamming. The Red Manual, a valuable document titled How the Missile Forces Fight the B-52, was created, compiling combat experience to help soldiers distinguish between real and false targets on the radar screen. Neutralizing the Shrike missile. A highly creative tactic was employed, suddenly turning the radar on and off. As soon as an American Shrike missile locked onto the signal, our radar station would immediately shut down, causing the missile to lose its target and fly inertially off course. Deception. We built many fake positions with missile models made from pressed bamboo, detonated explosives, and burned tires to create smoke, attracting and dispersing enemy fire. Air Force sorties. Pilots were instructed to apply air guerrilla tactics, taking off secretly, approaching unexpectedly, attacking swiftly, and then quickly retreating. The 12-day and night battle of wits was truly a classic chess game, where one side had complete initiative in technology and time, while the other, despite its shortages, was completely confident thanks to experience and limitless creativity. Part 2. The events of the 12 historic days and nights. The shocking truth: the B-52 Flying Fortress is shot down. On the night of December 18, 1972, the first waves of B-52s took off, beginning the bloody campaign. At the 59th Missile Battalion, the order was given to target a B-52 at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Control Officer Young Won Tun launched 2 consecutive missiles. As the missile approached, the B-52 was still in the process of dropping its bombs. An explosion echoed across the sky. It was the first B-52 shot down in the campaign, shattering the myth of its invincibility. Night of December 20th to the morning of the 21st. The Vietnamese air defense launched 36 missiles, shooting down 6 B-52s on the spot. For the first time in history, a formation of American strategic bombers had to retreat dejectedly due to the overwhelming strength of the air defense. December 24th, air defense in Thanh Nguyen shot down 5 more aircraft, including 1 B-52. December 25th, Christmas, the U.S. temporarily halted the bombing. President Nixon claimed that the bombing only targeted military objectives, but images of devastated residential areas in Hanoi and Haiphong exposed his lies. Some American pilots refused to fly their missions and were immediately arrested. The peak of ferocity and resilience. After more than a day of silence, from 10:15 p.m. on the night of December 26th, the U.S. mobilized a massive force of 120 B-52s and 113 fighter bombers, launching a relentless and destructive assault on Hanoi, Haiphong, and Thanh Nguyen. At 10:17 p.m., Cam Thien Street was hit by 3 strings of B-52 bombs. A barrage of bombs rained down, leveling a 1.2-kilometer stretch of the street. 278 people were killed, including 91 women, 40 elderly, and 58 children. Over 2,000 houses collapsed, with 534 completely destroyed. But in that tragic night, Hanoi's air defense network did not falter. In just 15 minutes, from 10:29 p.m. to 10:42 p.m., the missile battalion successfully shot down 4 B-52s, some of which crashed right in Tuong Mai and Ding Cong. The battle on the night of December 26th became the biggest victory, with 8 B-52s shot down, including 4 that crashed on the spot. The turning point in the sky. Night of December 27th, a historic event took place. For the first time, a B-52 was shot down by a MiG-21 fighter jet piloted by Pham Thun. Learning from previous attempts, Pham Thun bravely approached the target at an extremely close range of only 2-3 kilometers, then fired both missiles at once, giving the B-52 no chance to release decoy flares. December 28th,
Pilot Vu Xuanhiu also shot down a B-52 over the skies of Sonla, but his plane crashed and he heroically sacrificed his life. On the same day, the young pilot Vu Heng also shot down a reconnaissance plane and an enemy F-4 fighter before being killed in action at the age of 20. Results and historical significance. At 7 a.m. on December 30th, President Nixon was forced to announce a halt to the bombing north of the 20th parallel and agreed to return to the Paris Peace Accords. The whole world had held its breath and then erupted in joy when the voice of Vietnam broadcast its familiar sound from the heart of the capital, like a firm declaration. Hanoi still stands.